I remember being a kid and starting to collect things I didn't understand. When other kids were out there looking for their favorite comic book or a toy car, I became obsessed with things that didn't make any sense to me. I love it. I love this feeling of not knowing, which is why I brought my favorite item from my Wonder collection to share with you. Would you like to see it? Yes. Check it out. I got this at a little boutique in Portland, Oregon. Somebody put a Rubik's Cube inside a glass bottle. Sir, check it out. It's like a ship in a bottle made by a hipster. Look at that. I don't know who made it, but he had a handlebar mustache, I'll tell you that. Isn't that weird? I had this sitting on my desk for 6 months. I looked at it every single day, and then I had this idea. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could solve that cube while it was trapped inside the glass? That'd be amazing. Oh, man, can you imagine? Woo! One day. Look, let's be real. None of us could do it if it was outside the glass, right? I mean, I got one here. We can play with this one. I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s, everyone was obsessed with these things. My best friend Jesse was no exception. Jesse got one of these. He began playing with it up and down, left and right, back and forth. He played with it every single day till he eventually solved it. Now, I know you see people solve it all the time, but Jesse solved it before you could look up how to solve it. He should have felt so proud, but he realized he didn't remember all the moves it took. So rather than feeling proud of his new accomplishment, he was the most paranoid kid on the playground. He was terrified someone was going to grab it and in a few turns twist it up and ruin what he worked so hard to create. So Jesse instead took that solved cube, he set it on a high shelf. He took one of his mom's mason jars, turned it upside down, covered it up, and he never touched it again. It just sat on display the rest of our childhood. See, in life, when things are perfect, we're afraid to mess them up. But the good news for us, this one's already messed up. Let's play. Who knows, if I were to hand you this cube, you would not be able to solve it unless you took all the stickers off. Be honest, right? Yeah. Have you ever solved one before? Great. And what is your name? Cassie, would you mix it up for me? I don't want you to solve it. I'm going to bring it to you. All I ask is that you don't take it apart, don't take the stickers off, but mix it up as much as you want. And once you feel like you've given it a good mix, Cassie, would you pass it to anyone else? I want as many people over the next 90 seconds to mix up that cube, and then I'm going to try to solve it faster than you've ever seen. Now, while they work on that, let me tell you some things about a Rubik's Cube you've probably never heard before, because I know that's why you came out tonight. That toy was invented in 1974 in a garage in Hungary by a gentleman named Erno Rubik. And when he invented it, he didn't know two things. The first thing is he didn't know he had just created the best-selling toy of all time. More of those have been sold than any other toy in history, including Barbie. And the second thing he didn't know about his new invention was how to solve it. So don't feel bad if you can't solve it. Neither could the guy who invented it, right? He was an architect. He designed it in this structure, and he was fascinated with the different patterns it could go through. So it brings me to the question of the night. Not how do you solve it, but how many different ways do you think we could mess it up? If you had to take a wild guess, what would you say? 2,900. 2,900. My man. That's a good guess. Who thinks it's less than 2,900? Show of hands. Less? Who thinks it's more? What would you say? Way more. What'd you say? How much? A trillion. That's a little bit more than 2,900. But even that's too low. If you Google it, and you don't have to, I'll tell you. Are you ready? But first, feel this moment. This is the last time you won't know this information. This is what wonder is. The number of ways you can mix up a Rubik's Cube is the number 43 quintillion. And then your next step is to look up what is quintillion. You'll find out it's the number 43 followed by 18 zeros. That number is so big that scientists say if you took one of those toys and you turned it once every second, starting at the beginning of time, you could still be going through patterns today that had never existed before. So while we're all trying to solve it, the next time you see someone mess it up, congratulate them. They've literally done something no one else will ever do. I know we started here with Cassie. Where did the cube end up? Where's it at now? Hi, who's got it there? Yeah. Would you bring it up here? You don't have to come up on stage, but would you walk it over here? Yeah. And just, yeah, yes. Look at that, a young person getting steps. That's, now, what is your name? Jordan, nice to meet you. Jordan, may I have that? Thank you so much. Big hand for Jordan and all of our friends. And keep it going for Jordan getting his steps in today. Look at that. Look how impressed adults are with moderate exercise. I did it. Give me a second. I will solve it. Give me a second to memorize the patterns you've created here. Perfect. Okay, the current world record for solving one of these is 4.3 seconds. That's with your eyes open. Today I'm going to do it in the darkness of the bag. Count me down from 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Perfectly solved, all 6 sides. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? What was that? Any other questions? No, you're right. The only way I could do it was if I switched it. Look, you call an Uber if that fooled you. Look how messy they made. How many of you touched this? Show of hands. How many of you mixed up this cube? Look at this. Look how many people mixed up this cube today. So I will solve it, but before we do, don't you think we should reflect on the beauty you've created? I mean, it's unique, right? If you think about it, this is what life is supposed to be. But this is what the life we want is supposed to be, right? When I was a kid, I didn't want my life to look like this. I wanted my life to look perfect. Be honest, how many of you thought one day your life would look like this? Let's get real. How many of you still think one day it's going to look like that? Every day we trick ourselves into thinking that this is what we want, and then to thinking that it's actually attainable. We say things like, I'll enjoy my life when I get all the right pieces in the right spots, when there's no chaos, when there's no twists or turns that are out of my control. Then I'll settle down and I'll enjoy it. But this is not reality. That's your life. What they've created, this is the life you live. And this is your Instagram story. This is the holiday dinner you posted about with the parents, and that's the one you survived. So let's get real. In a world where we compare ourselves to everyone else and we feel like they're perfect and we're not, I could solve this like that. But I'd just be ruining a valuable life lesson. But you don't care, and I get it. Because it's a magic show, not a life lesson show. And if I was really going to solve it, how would I know when to stop? How do I know? If I try to solve it, how do I know, sir? When's it done? Yeah, when you have the blue here and the orange there and the yellow there. But if you think about it, you're just comparing yours to the pattern of one we've seen before. And isn't it possible, with all the cubes that are out there, there might be one that looks just like... One second. Friends, in the midst of the chaos, you twisted that cube till it matched perfectly on one side. Now that's a coincidence. But if you did it on the second side, that would be a miracle. But you didn't stop there. You got it to match on the third side. And you got it to match on the fourth side. And you got it to match on the top. And on the bottom, all 6 sides, exactly like it was supposed to be. Good job. So we have an opportunity. We can go through life looking at it like it's a puzzle to be solved, or we can remember it's a mystery to be enjoyed. Keep chasing wonder.